Today we're going to talk about bringing a new manager into the fold. They may be a new hire, or they may be someone that just got transferred, or someone that's just making a cameo appearance. For example, if they're from another branch or another location, they just might be filling in, right? And they need to feel comfortable with being at the new location that they're visiting, or maybe they're just going to be there permanently. You just don't know. But whatever the case may be, but you just want to make sure that they're welcomed, because I've been in situations where I've been a new hire or I've been transferred out. People were familiar with my work or my position, but they just didn't know who I was. However, when I arrive, it's a less than stellar welcoming to the location. It's as if I'm violating some sort of treaty between countries, and needless to say, they should be thinking the opposite, because we are all on the same team, hypothetically. So what I like to do most of the time is just get to know the person. It's not like an interview. It's just more so, who are you? Like, I'm always interested into finding out why this person was hired, what kind of commonalities we have, so that I can see why I was brought on, why this person was brought on, where the differences lie, because obviously stylistically you may have some sort of conflict, and you don't want those conflicts to fire up in the midst of a shift or a project. You just don't want these types of issues. They're going to happen. It's guaranteed to happen, but you don't want those conflicts to just overwhelm the situation. You want a person that's going to be aware of it, just like how you're aware of it, but you just want to make sure that person is aware that, hey, you're going to take the lead, or I'm going to take the lead, and one of us has to just fall in line. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most optimal situation. If it turns out that way, great. If it's not the most optimal situation, once that stylistic approach is implemented, and we all have to live by it, right? You live by the sword, you die by the sword. So there's no need for I told you so. There's no need for rubbing it in their face if it falls flat on its face. Like, it's just not something that you need to do, because it just doesn't help with the culture. It's not very productive, right? So there's no need for any of that stuff. But it's good to find out who this person is. Granted, sometimes, because that person might be defensive, they might be telling you things that may or may not be true, or half-truths, or completely false in some senses, because they just don't know who you are. You're in charge of the location they're walking into, and they feel like maybe they might be incriminating themselves, or for some reason. Just to make sure, just a second. So what people want to do is make sure that just never fail. Someone's walking into the office. You do whatever you need to do to, like, make sure they don't come in and they just walk in. So it's truly incredible how that happens every time. So anyway, unfortunately, when these things happen, of course, your train of thought gets broken, because they're just not necessarily disrespectful, but they're just oblivious and careless, I guess. So anyway, now I have to retrain my brain and figure out where I can go with from here. So like I said, it's just guaranteed that they're going to be walking into the office at the most inappropriate time. It's just the most hilarious thing. But yeah, like I said, the incrimination part, like, say for example, they do things a little different at the other location, which I don't understand why that's such a big deal. Of course, there's a corporate structure and you want to adhere to those corporate things, but every restaurant's specific to itself. The managers are not robots, so they feel like certain things have to be ran a certain way so that you can thrive and be productive. But sometimes some managers are so by the book that they don't understand that being by the book is not applicable to that location, and therefore, because it's not applicable, you lose people, you lose resources, human resources, food, liquor, whatever it is that you find valuable. These things start going out the door, or some kind of waste is created because you're too by the book. And that's an unfortunate thing to say, because it's counterintuitive. Of course, you want to be by the book at all times, but at the same time, you're actually hurting the company because you don't understand that your inexperience. If you had a little more experience, you would know that that type of activity, whatever the situation is, doesn't necessarily have to be that black and white, where you are losing a good person just because, I don't know, whatever, 3 strikes rule, and because of the 3 strikes rule, this person committed a 3rd violation, and therefore that person's gone. And that person could have been a good bartender, server, could have been promoted to a manager position, and because of that, you just lost that person. And guess who gets to capitalize on that person? The next company, right? Because now they've probably learned their lesson, and now they're on to the next company and gonna go out there and kick ass at that location. So that's what I'm getting at. Like, those are the examples. I don't want to make a big fuss over it, but I'm just saying, like, there is nuance to each restaurant, and there's no need for you to go that crazy by the book every single time. That's one of the items that I'm constantly trying to like probe when I'm talking to these people when they start coming into the restaurant, because I need to know how stringent they are. I'm a little more lenient, and when people are that stringent, meaning that anal about things, it just gets under their skin, and they're so anal that it starts like turning into this psychological thing, like they're burning on the inside. They want to discipline these people, but because they're not that person that is having the authority at that location, they feel like it's just burning them up inside for some reason, and it has to be done, and they're putting it in the record books up here, and then they're gonna tell district or tell ownership, because this person that they don't even know the full backstory of all of a sudden had this mishap, and the person in charge had no proper disciplinary actions for that violator, right? And this person's just like so they feel like they've just been wronged because they're all of a sudden standing for the company, but when it comes to other things, they don't stand for the company. Like, they don't see the hypocrisy in it, right? And that's where I try my best to like make sure that I don't necessarily let go of disciplinary actions, but at the same time, I want to make sure that this person's a human being. Things happen, right? And there's no need for that person to be violated in that sense, right? Yes, it violated a rule, policy. It's not the end of the world, but at the same time, they're human, right? Like, if the person has kids and they happen to be late a couple times because of their kid, well, eventually everyone's going to be a parent, knock on wood, and because everyone should learn the thrills and the beautifulness of being a parent. But what I'm saying is, there's no need for you to go crazy over a person that's been late, and it could just be attributed to the fact that the babysitter just wasn't on time, and therefore they're late. That's just an example. What I'm getting at is, this new manager or this person that's coming into the location might feel like it's just this huge violation, and it's not. It really isn't. Life is bigger than this, and there's no need for you to go crazy over these little things. And if you're one of those managers and you feel that burning sensation inside where you need to like discipline somebody, you should probably do a little introspection and go, why am I so miserable? Why do I need to like harass people like that? There's something inside where you're so miserable that you need to do these things. Why? You got to ask yourself why, right? On the other end of the spectrum, you're a person like me where I'm just like, hey man, if I fire this person with that set of headaches and then I hire another person with another set of headaches, is it a net positive or net negative, right? Like, did we win or lose on this? It's most of the time it's a lose, because we also had to train that next person, right? So there's no need for you to trade one set of headaches for another when the the human resources are just identical to each other.